So let's get in our experts and find out a few trading ideas for you. Amit Gupta of ICICI Direct is here with us. We've got Rajat Bose of rajatbose.com. Prakash Gaba joins us in the studio, and Rahul Mohinder of Veera Tech India is also with us. But Prakash, let me start with you. If we do see a bit of a pullback today, what should be the Nifty approach? Is it a sell-on rally, or maybe is it a buying opportunity?
Well, yesterday we did speak about it, good morning to you, that we had a target of 7850. We closed right on 7850. Today being a Friday, I think today sets the tone for next week. So far, just because the target is achieved, do we say that it's over? No, it's certainly not. It looks up to me so far. Until it see a down move or some kind of weakness, I would assume the trend is still intact up. What are the targets? The next technical targets that I have is 7888. Beyond that to 7925. Even if it stays much better that next week, maybe 7980. So we must assume it's up. I will watch a level of 7740 and trade long as it stays above it. The moment it breaks 7740, I think we can say that was a reaction, and maybe we can see that how we can short the market for next week. So 7740, okay. Crucial support, make or break levels.
Okay, that's important because the SGX Nifty at the moment is indicating a lower tick. We also have, of course, Rajat and Rahul Mohinder with us. Rajat, your take?
Well, I would say that I would be keenly watching as to whether 7810 to about 7800 gets broken, or the Nifty manages to cross 7850, and after that 7856 to 7863. In my reckoning, that 7-point zone is a very critical zone. Unless that is decisively taken out, further upswing would be pretty unlikely. But the kind of position building that I saw in most counters, that suggests that definitely there would be an attempt to cross that level, even if we were to open lower. But opening lower but not going below 7800 means that bulls would try to once again take it up. So we should be watching around 7850 and 7800 on the downside. That's how I'm looking at the Nifty today.
Okay, so
you maintain the longs basically till 7810 is broken?
Yeah. I would continue to maintain the longs because say there is a good news in banking pack. Apart from Axis Bank, I have not found anything really weak. So banks and other counters, even in some of the pharma counters that did very well. So there is no reason to believe that they would immediately start going down. Only problematic area seems to be tech, because they have reached resistance levels, whereas there is a negative news in today's newspapers. So we need to watch out that scenario very closely.
Okay, let's get Rahul into the discussion as well. Rahul, if in the morning we have a gap down opening, what should be the trading strategy? Would you also keep the faith?
Yeah, I totally concur with Rajat there, that if we open soft and we open more towards 7800, 7810, I see that as a tremendous opportunity in terms of the buy side. It looks very clear to me that banking looks good. We have some front lines which are looking good, at least near term. So if you get it around 7800 on the Nifty, I think keeping a 40 to 50 point stop, you could be heading towards 7920. That would be my target. So my stance is clearly positive with the weak opening.
What would be your stop loss, you say?
I would keep about 40 to 50 points as a stop. So about 7750 would be a fair stop to work with.
Okay, so up until 7750, you are going to recommend long, even if there is a gap down.
Yes, that's correct, Lata. So around 7800 is where I would attempt buying. Targets at 7920 over the next couple of days. Okay. That's how I'd look at it.
Okay, since you spoke about the banks and so did Rajat, would you trade the bank Nifty, Rahul, or would you prefer individual banks?
In fact, I would prefer the bank Nifty, Lata, over the actual Nifty. Over the last 3 weeks, I have to admit, I have been very negative on the banking index, and fortunately it did hit 16,200. But I really see the next leg moving up. I see 17,100 to 17,200. That's our broad target in the very near term. So, given a couple of days, we should be heading there. And when we start looking at internals, I think it's the private sector banks which should continue to lead. So my view is fairly positive on the banking bit, and I think that's what could really help the Nifty.
Okay. Staying with the banking space, Rajat, Axis Bank chart is not looking that good because you're recommending a sell?
Yeah, Rima. Actually, in yesterday's scenario, when banks were doing pretty well, you take it Kotak Mahindra Bank or HDFC Bank or IndusInd Bank, most of the private banks actually closed higher. They added more open interest. But when you look at Axis Bank, there is something strange. This stock could not sustain at higher level, and it came down. Finally, I saw that there is nearly a 4.5% addition in open interest in the derivative segment. That suggests that people have actually taken short positions and carried over this. And the formation itself suggests that downtrend continuation is more likely in Axis Bank than any other banking counters. So I have put a sell, and stop loss is 440.20, 429.25 to about 425.50. This is the target range for today's trading. Axis is a sell.
Okay. Rahul, tossing that to you. You have a buy on IndusInd Bank. First, take us through that. I have more banking questions for you.
Yes, Lata. I think, IndusInd, if you look at a long-term investor, this has been a perpetual outperformer, if I may give it that tag. But, coming to the current day scenario in the current next 3 or 4 days, we clearly see IndusInd heading to levels of 970. So, again, if we open a bit soft, let's say around 940, 945, I think it's worth an entry. Keeping a stop loss at 924, a first target of 970. I'm not saying the stock can't go higher, but at least that would be a very short-term target. So I would put a buy on the stock. I would use this correction to really get in.
Okay. But what would you do with the other three big boys? ICICI, Axis, SBI.
I won't say that I'm convinced that the stocks are, like SBI are out of the woods, but, I would say we're starting to see the first trickles there. So there's nothing to really panic at this point. It's more a wait and watch approach. 265 is where I'd peg a target on something like State Bank. Again, I would like to see that 242 is held on ICICI Bank. That's an important level for ICICI. And for that matter, even on State Bank, we're looking at, keeping clear stops on these stocks. So 224 is a stop loss I am recommending on SBI. So I would say it's more of a hold. It's not all that clear, but if you look at something like an IndusInd, that's one of the banks well above its 200-day average, one of the banks which have shown you long-term outperformance. I'd like to be with a stronger bet. I kind of agree there again that Axis is not the wisest pick even within the private sector banks. So you have to be selective here, and I think you've got a fairly good choice.
Rajat, the biggest gains this week were in commodity names. So Tata Steel rallied 7%, Hindalco moved up 6.5%. More to go?
Yeah, there is a possibility that Tata Steel can actually go up. And yesterday, the moving average that I closely watch for a buy signal is 89-day exponential moving average. And Tata Steel, for the first time in many months, have successfully cleared that, posted a close comfortably above that. So I feel that Tata Steel is likely to move up, and I put a stop loss below 252.90, and the targets are 261.50 and 264.75. And I would like to point out one thing. Although I have kept a higher target of 264.75, but in my reckoning, I have a feeling that if the Nifty doesn't take a tumble, Tata Steel could well go up to 279 in the near future. I mean, say maybe the next week. But as of now, for today, 264.75 suffice as a good target.